Project Jake attempts to codify the operational and data complexity of registration data structures and the collection and request processes into a framework and a model. The framework codifies the operational complexity by describing the parties that are involved. On one side, we have a group that we call collectors. These are principally registrars, but also resellers and registries that collect information from registrants or from their agents. And that leads very naturally to the question of what information they should collect and what rules they should follow in making that information available to others. The minimum requirement on the collecting side is to serve the needs of their direct customer relationship with the registrant. For example, to maintain and manage access to the domains that they control. These collectors don't have a natural incentive to make information that they collect available to anyone else for any purpose whatsoever. So everything else is imposed or added on to that basic customer relationship. On the other side is a group that we call requesters. These are people who want information, and thus there is a very natural dichotomy between collectors on the one hand and requesters who want information about registrations. These requesters have a variety of different purposes. Some are security researchers, some are business people who want to make an offer for a domain name, some are law enforcement folks or intellectual property attorneys who are trying to track down people who are not acting as they should, and so on. There are certainly good reasons why the information about registration is made available to others, but there are equally downsides or negatives that we don't want to encourage, and there are different privacy legislation or laws to consider. So there needs to be some balance here, and it would be great if it were possible to serve the positive needs and not serve the negative needs, and come out with a win-win-win for all the different parties if possible. Project Jake framework is designed to represent and codify the operational complexities that exist. The model describes the data complexity by tagging data elements in several dimensions. In addition to operational complexity, the data themselves are also complex. There are a substantial number of pieces of data that are collected from a registrant or generated during the course of registration. We call these data elements. Some of these data elements are about people which may be subject to privacy concerns. Some of it is payment information, which is very sensitive, and so forth. In addition, some of the information may be optional or not collected at all by some registrars. A separate but quite important dimension is the accuracy of the data, which means our model has to include the means for representing the type of validation that is required for each of the data elements. The Project Jake model codifies these four dimensions for collected elements. There are two that are used for labeling the type of data that is collected. One is the sensitivity of the data, and the other is the category that that data falls into, enabling requesters to ask for a data category rather than individual data elements. And there are two other dimensions that are used for labeling the collection method of the data. One is the collection mode that indicates if the data element is optional, required, or not to be collected. And the other is the validation mode that indicates to what degree the collected information is validated, if at all. The information collected is tagged according to these four dimensions. To reiterate, the framework describes the main actors involved in collecting registration data, in requesting registration data, and in setting the policies that govern these processes. The model is the set of concepts that make it possible to express what data is collected and what should be done with that data. It includes four dimensions that are used to tag data elements. Two of these dimensions describe the conditions under which the data was collected, that is, whether to collect the data and how thoroughly to validate it. The other two, the category and sensitivity labeling tags, allow us to clearly describe what data will be made available in response to various requests. The framework and model of Project Jake have been developed to enable productive conversations about data exchange and the policies that govern it.